the more cancer-causing agents it has, the better it's going to be.
Our chief engineer spends most of his time in his machine shop, testing his automats over and over again.
Guys, welcome back to part 2 in my video series, How to Paint Your Car at Home. I don't know what happened. I kicked the hornet's nest. There's people unfollowing me and doing everything else because I'm going to paint the car at home. I have no idea. Anyways, part 2 in the Paint Your Car at Home series, we're going to look at stripping metal today, mechanical and chemical. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to get into metalwork. Stick around. Okay, so one of the big deals when you're painting a car is figuring out how far you need to take this old paint back to get a good paint adhesion on the car. So if you have a factory paint, so if this car had been painted once and we had some scuffs and, fading or whatever in the factory paint, it would be safe to bring it back to, or to bring it down, I should say, just to that factory layer of paint where it has good adhesion. This car has been painted so many times and there's so much body filler and mystery on it. The best and safest thing to do was just to take it all the way down. So that's what I did. Again, you don't have to take it down. If you've got a car with 1 or 2 layers of good paint on it, you really don't need to take it all the way down. You certainly can. There's nothing saying that you have to. But if you're worried at all about paint adhesion, just take it all the way down to the metal and start over. Okay, so when you're taking the car down, there's a couple different ways you can do it. The biggest, probably the fastest way to do it would be chemical removal. So you're putting some kind of chemical on the paint that is eating through the paint and leaving you with a clear slate, like just bare metal. The easiest at-home way to do that is aircraft stripper. Now, I don't know where you guys live. I live in Alabama, and things are relatively unregulated here, but it's really hard to find aircraft stripper out here. I don't know why. A few of the local parts houses have it, but it's always been really hit or miss whether or not I can find it. Now, one of the chemicals I will say to stay away from is this junk, this crap right here. I tried it on the roof of the Mustang here, and if you look back a few videos, you can see that when I was pulling paint off this. It's trash. It ate through like the clear coat, but that was it. I mean, if it were to ever eat through automotive enamel, it's going to take a month. I mean, it's no good. Don't waste your time with Citrus Strip. You need something more caustic, more like the worse it is for you, the better it's going to work, straight up. I mean, like, don't breathe the stuff, but that's the way it is. The worse it's for you, the more chemical, the more cancer-causing agents it has, the better it's going to be. Don't get the cancer. Breathe your respirators. Okay, so that is the at-home is aircraft stripper. If you're going to do a chemical removal, aircraft stripper at home is the best way. Look for those words, aircraft paint remover, or aircraft stripper. Used to be a brand name. I think Clean Strip owns it now. I don't know. Aircraft remover, aircraft paint remover. Look that up. It's out there in the wild somewhere. The other chemical process that's very popular for removing paint is an acid bath. Now you pull the car all the way apart. It's nothing but metal. There's no interior. There's no wiring. There's no rubber. There's no glass. And then you carry it to these folks who have a big acid vat. And they literally chain the car up and drop it in there. It sits there for like 2 or 3 days. They pull it out. They pressure wash it off, and you got clear metal. So those are your chemical routes. If you're watching this video and you want to paint your car for $600, you're probably not gonna throw the money like to go and have your car acid dipped. I'm not. It's like $1,000. That's not what we're doing here. We're at-home guys on a budget that we still got to feed the kids. We can't dump our life savings into building these cars. Okay, so the other option that we have is mechanical means of removal, like mechanical. You're part of it, you're grinding, you're sanding, you're physically pulling that paint off. Let me show you some tools that we can use to speed that process up. Okay, it's not the most sexy way, but hear me out. A 4-inch angle grinder with a flat disc. It's gonna get it done, right? You gotta be careful because you're gonna start digging into the metal really quickly with this. But if you have a ton of body filler or something along those lines, a 4-inch grinder is definitely a good option. Another option for a little more finesse approach, the DA with some 40 or 80 grit. I took a lot of the paint off of this car before I got what I'm gonna show you next with the DA. But I'm gonna say this, if you have an entire car to do, spend the money. Get a surface conditioning tool. Now this is Bauer, so Harbor Freight's version of the Eastwood surface conditioning tool. This thing is a monster. It eats. This is the first drum I ever put on it, and I still got life left on it. It's a monster. Such a time saver. If you're gonna do a whole entire car, spend the $150 or whatever this thing cost. I can't even remember, but it didn't hurt me to buy it. It wasn't crazy. Spend the money and get this. You are going to save so much time if you get one of these. All right, guys, so based off the information that I've given so far, this is my weapon of choice right here. I mean, this whole car, it's going to go so quickly. I'm sure you guys have been here for this, but most of this car is stripped and prepped. I've got that side done. I got to get the paint off this door. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this thing outside, and I'm going to show you how we pull the paint off of this door using our surface conditioning tool and why it's better than the others. Okay, I forgot an honorable mention. One other way, and it goes back to the 4-inch angle grinder, are wire wheels. You can put wire wheels on the 4-inch angle grinder and they'll eat. The only thing that sucks about these is these things come off very easily and they'll embed themselves in your chest, neck, face, and throat area, let alone your hands. So these will eat. All right, we're gonna see if we can't get the old bald eagle screaming here and fire this thing up. It hasn't moved. Let's see, we got fuel in the bowls. I don't know how old it is, but we're gonna try. See if we can't get her to pop off. There she is. If it'll idle, we'll just let it run for a minute. It won't idle. But yeah, we gotta do some work here. Oh yeah, look at this, how much crap is down in here. I should probably clean that out. I don't know if you can see that. There's like sanding dust down in the carburetor and everything else. Golly. That's what I get. That's my problem. This is the result you can expect from that surface conditioning tool. Some of the smaller areas you can't really get into, like right in through there, but the finish it leaves is really nice. I am finding some damage down here in the rocker panel. That's okay though. Anyways, so now what I got to do is I got to go back and with the DA and some 80 grit, I'm gonna work in here to get this out. Okay, I got the doors off now and totally stripped over here on the sawhorses, and you can see just the awesome finish. I think I got lucky here with these doors. They appear to be reskinned. If you look down under there, there's some, let me see if you can see. There's some spot welds like right, can you see that? Where's my hand? There it is. The spot weld right there, that's not kind of factory. So I'm like 90% sure that these doors are reskinned. And unfortunately, whoever did these doors didn't do the rest of the metal work because these doors look like they were done really well. So this is the finish you can expect to get with that surface conditioning tool. It did reveal a few dents. I got a couple dents I got to take care of. That one's going to take some filler, but a little bit of waviness is just going to be made up with the high build primer. Also, I ran over this final with the DA. I couldn't get into some little spots, so I had to do a little bit by hand in through here and then over here. I haven't got to this top of this door yet, so I got to get that. I'm either going to do it with a 2-inch roll lock disc or just bust it down by hand. But those doors are stripped and ready for metal work if they were needed. They really don't need it. The only metal work that's needed here is someone went crazy putting a mirror on this thing a couple different times. So either that or the door didn't, it probably wasn't drilled for sport mirrors originally, but it is now, so that's probably what all those holes are from. Speaking of metal work, here is a last little bit that the car needs. I don't know, now when they did this panel, once we pull all this body filler off here, you'll see it was stitch welded here, but they drilled some holes here. I don't know if they pulled a dent out, or I have no idea why these holes are here. But we're gonna go back and fill them up and do our best to make sure that we don't warp this panel. just want to keep it as cool as you can, not let it get too hot. I'm not too worried about it on this panel because there's a bunch of structure right here. There's a nice sharp bend. I mean, still, you have the possibility to sink this panel by putting this heat in there, but it's not gonna sink. It's too close to this edge, and I didn't get it really hot. So, but just something to keep in mind. After a little bit of love with the welder, the grinder, and the sander, it's like it was never there. Just went slow, and panel's nice and flat. That's a big thing with metalwork. Just go slow. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time going over the metalwork component of this. It makes sense, right? You strip it, you see what you're working with, and then comes the metalwork. Usually it's going to be cutting out rust, pulling dents, maybe doing quarter panels, things of this nature, but it's the next natural step. You pull all the old crap off, you uncover all the deep, dark secrets of what the car that you thought was a good deal. This car is a good deal, was a good deal, but that's not what I'm saying. You uncover the secrets and the mysteries of the past of the car, and then you get to work on the hard stuff, the metal work, and really getting the car into the good solid shape that it needs to be to put the paint on. Okay, so for this car, all the major metal work is now done. The biggest thing was hanging that quarter. There's no rust on it. The car's had floor pans, so there's no rust in the car anymore, and everything else is good to go. So there's really no large metal work done or left to be done. So like I said, I replaced the quarter panel, and there's a piece under here that I had to replace as well. But that's really the only big sheet metal stuff that I had to replace on the car. Okay guys, we're gonna wrap the video here in an attempt to keep these kind of short and interesting to watch. I mean, we're just knocking out the list, going through what needs to happen up to the paint. The paint process and the bodywork process videos are gonna be a little bit more lengthy, involved. Now, in reality, stripping paint doesn't take a lot of skill. You just don't get the metal too hot, not to warp it, and you're pulling paint off panels. So there's really not a whole lot to show in this video, but I still wanted to do a part dedicated to stripping and metalwork. Again, metalwork, if you've got metalwork questions, there's a lot of really great resources on YouTube. You can certainly ask questions here if you have any down in the comments, and check out the quarter panel video. There's quite a bit of metalwork in the quarter panel series for the Mustang. Okay guys, anyways, that's it for the video. I still got a lot of work to do. I got to pull the paint off of, not those. I got to pull the paint off of these fenders still, and a hood and a deck lid. So the stripping of the paint is not done for me, but this video is going to be done. Look for the bodywork video coming up next very soon. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that. Get involved down in the comments, and we'll talk to you soon.